Welcome to another edition of Rap Lyrics Read Aloud. Today we're doing Wild Wild West by Kool Mo D. The Wild Wild West. 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 I used to live downtown, 129th Street Convent. Everything's upbeat, parties, ball in the park. Nothing but girls after dark. We chill. Nobody gets ill in the place we call the Hill. But if you try 'em, that's when they will get wild. But they don't fight. They kill. At the Wild Wild West. The Wild Wild West. The Wild Wild West. The Wild Wild West. I remember parties out in the park with the girlies rubbing up. In the dark I was smooth until someone pulled a gun. It was over. They spoiled my fun. I was flying just like a track star. Dying? Nah. I ran through the backyard trying to get into my building, saying, "Why in the heck won't somebody kill them?" One day, the fellas got together. They vowed that no one would ever come on our block and terrorize us. The gangs that used to do it, now they idolize us. Guns, we don't like to use them, unless our enemies choose them. We prefer to fight you on like a man, and beat you down with our hands, and body slam you at the Wild Wild West. The Wild Wild West. The Wild Wild West. The Wild Wild West. We don't start trouble, but boy do we end it. Our time, we like to spend it snapping. Boy do we heat up. But we'll take time out to beat up a sucker if he wants static. Beat down, yeah, we got it good. And we'll accommodate you. Thanks to us, a lot of brothers hate to come back. To this very day. 'Cause losing's one thing we don't play. If you're ever in a fight and you're beating one of us, break out before you get bum rushed at the Wild Wild West. 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 I'm talking about Nappy Red, Theo, Tony, and Milton, Mike Sluggo, and Mike Chillian, D.O.B., Reggie B., and Sydney, Dano B., Derek B., Sean B., and don't forget Big Hank, Don Ice, and Sire Rock. God bless Peter Wax, Chuck, and Pork Chop. Eldorado George, way back in the day, had all the brothers on the hill talking his way. Talking this way. They said, "God have mercy. LA Sunshine and my DJ Easy Lee are from around the way. Jock, Philly Phil, Don D, always, but they're chillin'. Keith, KV, Stevo, Ross, and A5 Baroni. Toss, and hunk. We fight with our hands, and nobody's a punk. At the Wild Wild West. 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 The Wild Wild West.